We're going to have a look at the Scramble arcade board that we received in the mailbag the other day. I've had a bit of a look over it and I'm not too sure what's going on with it, but it seems to have had a little bit of work done to it. Parts have been resoldered, resistors have had solder put on the legs, and looks like they've been soldering wires to the board. I don't know exactly what they've been doing with this board. It's looks like been the RGB and sync wires have been directly soldered to the board as opposed to using the breakout connector on the side of the PC board. The PC board is got a Java connector on it, and they haven't used that. They've just directly soldered to the board. And other things have been done to it. I'll have a look, I'll show you anyway, and just see what you think. But by all means, I'm not complaining because I didn't pay a lot for this board. I got it fairly cheap. So it'd be just good to make sure that everything's right before I even attempt to power it up. So the other thing too is these buttons have come in. These are the 4 buttons that I ordered for the replacement buttons on the game there. So I'll need to install those. We'll have a go at that as well. Yeah, so have a look at this here. All this, you've got the sync and blue here. It looks like it's been desoldered. Cables were in there by the look of it, but even like down here, I followed these traces. Those 2 traces there are for red and green on the RGB, and then we've got a big blob here. I'd say they've had the positive wire from the power supply going to there instead of using this connector. If you look, they've marked here positive 5 volts. They've got other markings here, can't quite make them out. Then you've got, looks like coin, blue, sync, not connected, ground, and then on the other side they've got markings as well, which I don't know if you can see in there. Should be able to see that. It's got a bit of hackery done to it. Another thing I'll show you is down here, top of this connector. I don't know if that connector's was used for anything, but it's been burnt by a soldering iron or melted. All these resistors, we've got blobs of solder sitting on the legs, one end of the legs. All these blobs of solder sitting on one end of the legs. In fact, this resistor here doesn't look too healthy. If I can zoom in on it. Shit. It could be just a leg. Other thing too is, I was looking over here. Where was it? It might have fallen off. I saw some solder stuck in between the 2 legs, but it was just loosely sitting there, so it probably's fallen off now. I don't know where that solder come from. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to pull this, even like up here, sort of ground plane. Just had a wire soldered to it and they've just ripped it off. Soldered there. Another positive by the looks of it. So anyway, I'm going to pull this top board off. Just take these screws out, pull the top board off, turn it over, and we'll inspect the other side. Over, and I mean there's some hackery going on as well, on the other side as well. Here's our labelling here. So we've got fire, left player 2, start, bomb, fire, right player 1, up, coin, down, Green and red, which it's hard to focus on this thing. Soldering job's not that best. They had soldered straight onto the board as opposed to using these pins. I don't know what the idea of that was, but anyway, just having a bit of a quick look at the amplifier here. It's an M51516L. The soldering job there is a bit, how you doing? It's could be a bit better. It's a bit rough, but anyway, I might clean that up and have a go at making it a bit neater. I noticed they've got a bit eager with the soldering iron there, and I've scorched the cap on the side there. On the other side of the board, yeah, the soldering's not the best either. So I'm going to have a bit of a clean up before that. And hopefully the amplifier chip is still okay. If not, I'll have to try and source another one. Hopefully they haven't damaged it by overheating the legs of this board. But anyway, it's had a bit of a bodge job there with some wires. This wire here, that goes to the trim pot for the sound. So I'm not sure what the bodge job is here for, but this has got something to do with the audio. And I guess we won't know until we've fixed up all this soldering, made it neater, try and clean up the board a bit. It's just soldering up here as well on the 5-volt rail. Yeah. So the pin there needs bit of solder. Looks like it's got a hole there. No, the pin might be still okay, but it's just got a hole in the circuit board. This is part 2 of the video that I've been doing for Scramble, the Scramble board. Some weeks have passed since the last section of this video, but you wouldn't know that because this would be a split second after what you've just seen. So the last section of this video was recorded back on the 7th of March. I ordered a jammer adapter board for the Scramble unit, and I ordered it back on the start of February, and it's been 6 weeks roughly since I ordered that board in. It's come from Canada, and we've had quite a bit changed since back then, and when I did the video on the 7th of March, we only had about 18 cases of the coronavirus in Australia. COVID-19 was really not something that we even gave much thought. I admit it just seemed like it was just a couple of cases. There was like only about 2 or 3 cases in Victoria at the time. There was no real stress or worry about it back then. The 23rd of March. We're currently sitting at around 1,700 or if not more in Australia. It's I think about 350, 360 cases in Victoria, and there's actually 1 case in the Shire that I live in, the Wellington Shire. The Wellington Shire covers a big area though, and they haven't actually said where that case is. So, all stressful times. The government have put in school closures, and they're shutting down, mandatory shutdown of entertainment businesses like clubs, motel, poker venues, cinemas, restaurants, unless they can do deliveries. And they're talking about more closures to follow of businesses. I'm a business owner myself, and we're just getting by. I've got a staff of 5 currently on the books, and we've just got enough work for my staff to continue on with their normal day-to-day runnings of my business, but that could change in a couple of weeks' time. We've got a bit of work on, we've got a bit of government work coming up. We've got a bit of private industry, commercial work still in the pipeline. But once that dries up, I'm going to have to probably lay some people off. And I don't really want to do that because I've got a fantastic crew. I've already told them today, I've said, if it comes to that, you know, no hard feelings. You just need to go to the government and get them to look after you for a little while, and I'll try and keep the business in mothballs until we come out of this, and then we'll bring them back on and try and get the business back and going again. Let's just hope it doesn't come to that though. There's a lot of other businesses that are really struggling and they've shut down. My daughter has been told that she hasn't got work as of Wednesday, so she's really taken it hard. And a mate of mine, he was told today that he's been laid off. He'd been working for this company. It's a training company. They train people for using forklifts and bobcats and all that sort of stuff. And he's been told today that they're shutting the doors. So a lot of people have been put out on the workforce. It's a sad situation. So I really just wanted to touch base with you in this video. I will continue on with getting this Scramble game going. I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know how we're going with that. But I also wanted to mention about the coronavirus and how things are really affecting us and everyone in the world. It's not just us. Everyone's feeling it hard. It's, you know, let's just hope it can be resolved. There's some brilliant people working on vaccines, but even at that, they're saying that they're 12 months away. If this goes on for 6 months, that's going to kill a lot of people's businesses. It's just not going to recover. If it goes for 6 months, even though I've got a bit of work on and it's coming up in the next couple of weeks, some government work, if this goes on for 6 months, my business won't recover. I'm pretty sure that we're just all going to, what do, you know? Yeah, so, well, this is what I've been waiting for, to get this Scramble project finished. What this is a 36 pin, which is the number of pins that are on the Scramble board, to a jammer pin out board. So basically your jammer plugs into here and all your jammer wiring is set out in the jammer standard, and this board will allow you to have whatever you want come out on the 18 pins on one side, 18 pins on the other side. 36 pins in total. And the way it works is, if you can look closely enough, if this thing's going to focus, there's little solder jumpers. So for example, you wanted this pin here to be 5 volts plus. You look for the 5 volts plus and you put a short across those two jumpers right there. If you wanted this pin to be, say, the jump or push button function on the controller, you look for the appropriate controller and you put a jumper across those pins there. And then you work your way to the next pin, the next pin, the next pin, the next pin, the next pin. So you need to know what these pins are going to be. I did have the board labelled, as you would have seen in the video, but I've gone over the documentation for that particular board, and some of those labellings are wrong. I found that out. It's a bit sticky. I sprayed it with alcohol. I sprayed it with a bit of IPA just to clean it up, and just in case it was, I'm being a little bit paranoid because this has come from Canada, and it's come from Canada like 6 weeks ago. So I very much doubt there'll be anything on this board, but I did spray it with a bit of isopropyl alcohol, IPA. Yeah, so on here you can see it says solder side. It's not very clear on this. It says solder side, so that would be the solder side of the board that you're plugging it into. Solder side of the jammer connector. And then the other side says part side. So that would be like if you've got the jammer board plugged into a board, the jammer connector plugged into a board, and that's the part side of the board. So that's how you work out the appropriate pins to what you want coming out this end. So this board was about $20 Canadian, which was about $25 Australian, because our Australian dollar was pretty close to your Canadian dollar. But not anymore. I don't know what the Canadian dollar's like at the moment, but the Australian dollar has really fallen in the arse. So it's dropped a lot of coin in the last 3-4 weeks. We're currently sitting at around 60 cents per American dollar, the Australian dollar. So it's really fallen in the arse. But yeah, about $25 Australian, and I paid about $13, $14 for freight. So it's not bad. Yeah, so this is the project to finish off the Scramble game, and then we can get it into our arcade machine and we'll see if it works. Alright, so here is the stern pinouts. Kenobi stern, and the label that they've put on, well, they originally had on there, I just labelled over the top. Most of them are right, a couple of them were wrong. But anyway, so we've just followed this pin out here because I think this would be more accurate than some Joe Blow down the road who's just decided that's what the pin should be. Anyway, so we've sorted out those pins. As you can see, there's a speaker and -5 volts, player buttons there, and +5 volts ground, and on the other side, done the other side here as well. So yeah, like that one's at ground there, we've got +5 volts, we've got sync, video sync, and we've got blue, video blue, some more buttons for the controller, and speaker positive and +12 volts. So, should be right to go. Focus. Let's chuck it in the arcade game and see if it works. Alright, we've put it in the cabinet. Just sitting here. Just to see how it goes. The jammer cable, or jammer connector, I've just labelled the part slot in here, so it should be right. I don't think it's too easy to confuse. We've got it plugged in, so let's power it up and see what happens. Alright, let's see if we let the smoke out or if it decides it wants to boot up. Hey, it works. Test it, I suppose. Corner up. Well, we've got no sound. Okay, it's no sound. So we've got to work on that. Let's see if this is going to play. Yep, just glitched. It can't be a good thing. Yeah, it's glitching for some reason. I think it's got problems.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So a standard drink is about 10 grams of alcohol.
Maybe it's loose connection on the board or IC or something. We're going to have to look at that. Yeah, so even when it's not playing, it's glitching in the demo mode. So there's something wrong with the ROM, I believe. And we'll pull the board back out and we'll have a look at it. But yeah, it's this board was heavily played around with and, well, molested, let's say. So it might even be just a loose chip, IC chip. But let's pull it out and have a look. Okay, so I'll check the voltage on the power supply back there. It was sitting at about 12.2 volts, but the minus 5 volt rail was down to 4.5 volts, so it was a bit low. So I've just tweaked the voltage up to about 12.5 volts, and the minus volt rail now sits at about 4.7 volts. So we've just increased the voltage by about 2 volts, 0.2 volts. Let's see what that does. Okay, it's good so far. Just put a credit up. Right. We've got sound. Oh, that looks better. Can't do this with one hand. Let me just set this up and we'll have a game of it. Alright, let's give this a go. Let's see how bad I am. Didn't last very long, did I? Damn it! Oh, I'm out of practice. Last man. That's it. All over. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit longer than it normally would have been, but it has been a video in the last 2 months of a making. So we'll see you on the next one. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheerio.